Welcome to Pivot to First. Hi, I'm Mike Seidel. I'm the CTO at Pivot CX. Every day I get to work with some of the brightest minds in the industry with one goal, turning hiring and people strategy into a competitive advantage. Hi, I'm Mike Seidel with Pivot CX, and welcome to Pivot to First. Today I'm joined by Jen Paxton, co-founder at Jamyr. Before starting Jamyr, she was VP of People and Talent at Privy and also was Director of Talent for Level Up. At Jamyr, Jen is out there bringing to employers a brand new take on how to do employment video. Jen, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. So glad to be here.
Well, thanks. I'm really excited about this because video is actually an area that's near and dear to my heart, not just because we have a podcast and that kind of thing, but because I get to work with a lot of employers who do, they try really, really hard. I mean, you see these companies, and some of the biggest companies in the world, they're like, we need to get video into our recruiting process. And so they bring in ad agencies, they bring in all kinds of really talented people, right? And what they end up producing, it's kind of all the same.
Yeah. Producing all the same, and I'd say potentially stale or not content that's going to last forever, right? Like you record one video and then something happens. It's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of like when I look at a lot of career websites, for us, we go out with our software and we hook up to career websites and we want to hook the application up to our chat platform so that we can trigger conversations with candidates. And video is a big piece of a lot of career sites, at least by what the employers are spending money on. And you go look at the videos that they're putting in there, and it's like they haven't went around and looked at anybody else's career site to see what everybody else is doing, because they all do the exact same thing, it seems like. It's not about the candidate, it's about the employer. So tell us a little bit about Jamyr and the approach that you're taking to video and what you're doing that's different.
Yeah. So Jamyr is helping companies to scale video content for recruiting and actually for onboarding purposes as well. And the biggest
Okay.
thing for us is having authentic videos, having that voice of your employees that can actually tell the experience and the culture of the company. It's kind of like bringing life to Glassdoor reviews, except I would say probably in a more positive way most of the time.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Glassdoor because the career website, a lot of times, if you go look at most companies, they are not going to be top rated on Glassdoor. In fact, most companies, just kind of law of statistics, you're going to be
Yeah.
more likely to be average or below average than you are to be great. And one of the few places where employers get a chance to differentiate themselves is the video they present to a candidate.
Mhm.
So it's actually pretty important.
Definitely. I mean, with kind of this age and kind of time that we are in right now, video is so crucial. I mean, we have lots of people posting on TikTok and Instagram Reels. And so when companies actually start to embrace video, they're developing a deeper relationship with candidates and actually really giving candidates a realistic preview into their culture in such a great way, which I mean, the best megaphone for your culture is your employees. So being able to have that megaphone out there in real life and in real time, I mean, what's better than that?
Well, I know this, that just from our product standpoint, we have an explainer video that takes all of maybe 38 seconds. It takes 20 minutes of conversation to get through the communicating that little tiny clip of video will do. And I know when it comes to differentiating employment and employer brand, video has the ability to do that, I think, faster than almost anything. So, I'm really interested in, if I was an employer coming to you, what are the three things that you really think as an employer I need to be thinking about when I'm approaching doing video, and where should I be using video?
Yeah. Well, I think that the highest hitting aspect, of course, is your career site. So you want to be thinking about how you can actually incorporate video into your career site. But also, because of this candidate market, you want to think about how you can actually incorporate video into your sourcing strategy as well. Because video is so engaging and you're able to actually get more, I would say, more click through rates with a video in particular on that end. So I think those are kind of the two main sources that I would think through. And then when you're thinking about the content for it, I mean, especially when I was, in my recruiting days and lovely days past, like I remember candidates would ask, like, why did you join? I got that
Mhm.
question every single phone screen I did. And I mean, I did a lot of, I mean, thousands of phone screens. And so I think about, I would answer very honestly about, why I joined the company and what makes me stay. But then also, if you can have more data points about other employees sharing, why they joined it and what makes them stay or what makes them so excited to work at the company in general, those are things that candidates are really going to be engaged with. And they're going to get that throughout the interview process. But if they can get it from more people in a scalable way, then that's what you want to go with too.
Okay, so Jammer, what makes your platform different and scalable? What is it that, because that's one thing I hear different in what you're saying is everybody who does video, but nobody says I do video in a scalable way. What is that?
Yeah. So one of the things we wanted to make sure we were doing is making it as frictionless as possible for employees to upload a video. We are able to set up custom, templated campaigns for the HR, the talent acquisition person, with these questions that are going to be very engaging. So employees are going to want to answer these questions, and candidates want to hear the answers to these questions. And then all a talent acquisition or HR or whoever's kind of in the platform, they just have to send a link to the employee. That link is it's a web link. They don't have to download anything, make a password, or really sign up for anything. So it's very frictionless there, and it's as easy as them recording a video on their phone and uploading that video to that link.
Okay, and that makes a big difference because when you talk about, you said genuine earlier on, and one of the big problems that you see with video that goes on career websites is it gets very corporate,
Yes.
and people feel like it's maybe staged. But when you're recruiting through, somebody's mobile phone or the webcam on their computer, it's personal, it's real. So you're taking advantage of the fact that we've got 2 years worth of everybody knowing how to sit in front of their computer and be on camera, and making it so that you can put that to work for you to collect really great video clips that can be put together for really believable, great career videos.
Exactly. And when you think about, I'm not going to knock kind of companies getting video staging companies to maybe do these phenomenal sizzle reels, but you think
Yeah,
about how much, number one, how much that costs, which is definitely like going to hit a budget somewhere. And then also, number two, you have this beautiful sizzle reel, but then one person leaves and you're like, I can't use that reel any longer. So the scalable part for Jammer is that you have individual videos that you can do within the platform, or you can put together a few montages of videos and actually interchange people out. So we're all about kind of that micro content that you can use for
sure.
both of those.
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds like that, really, compared to what I see on a lot of career sites, could really make a big difference. And it also sounds like for a lot of people that might be looking at their career site going, "We really need to spruce this thing up." It sounds like this might be a great place to start.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I will say as well, about the product in general, I came from kind of the talent acquisition space, and I would definitely have to negotiate with marketing to get like content produced sometimes. And there wasn't, when I first was starting out, there wasn't employer branding. It wasn't a thing. Like people didn't have employer branding jobs, like not at least not my company. And in addition to that, I had to, at one point, I learned some HTML and CSS so that I could actually update the career site ourselves, like myself. And then, and other than that, like I'd have to like become friends with, our engineering team so that I could get like one color change. So with Jammer in particular, there's one line of code that gets dropped on the site, and then the talent acquisition or HR person or really whoever's managing the platform can actually go in and do everything else themselves. So there's not a lot of engineering lift, and it's instantaneous. So for some reason a person does leave, you just click one button to get them off, like with the URL that they're linked to, and they're off the site immediately, which has got to be better than waiting 6 months for a person to get taken off career site, which has happened to me in the past.
Oh, no, that's real. That happens a lot, especially when your talent acquisition team has to wait around for the web team over in a
Yeah.
different department to do anything. And the bigger the employer is, the more likely you're going to have to go through marketing and IT and probably some kind of legal review and all of that. That really makes it almost impossible to get things done. So it's a lot better. I love the idea of being able to just place that code once and then be able to change. because career websites should be more dynamic, and should change a little bit. Things don't remain the same in recruiting every day. So you should be adapting. That's wonderful. So it sounds like your product sounds like things are going well. I know, I think based on your LinkedIn profile, it says May 2022. Is that when you launched, or did you launch before that?
Yeah, so my co-founder Brian actually came to me back in November of 2021, and so he was coming to me with this MVP about that was Jammer, and it had kind of one of the product features. And initially, I was like, "This is a really cool product. I want to be involved." And he actually was. In his own way, he was like, "No, I want you to actually be a co-founder with me. Like, do you want to come be the co-founder?" And that went right over
Okay.
my head. Like that took me like a month before he was like, "No, Jen, like I want you." So I was like, "Yeah, let me get you to other people and maybe I can connect you to all these." And nope, that was he was asking me. So sadly enough, like my like imposter syndrome and kind of like maybe I'm a dullard at this point, like just did not resonate. And then yeah, incorporation paperwork went into place, and then we got some tiny seed funding actually, and then yeah, the rest is history. May 2022. So
Well, I love the way that you're launching. One of the things and this is my sixth company that I've started here, and one of the lessons I've learned the hard way is that what you don't want to do is go out and raise a lot of money and then build a company. What you really want to do is go build a product, get a little bit of validation that hey, people like this, they'll buy it, get some investment, get enough investment to get going, take it another step, get it to where you actually maybe have paying customers, and then go for a bigger round of money. So I love the idea of starting with a small round and then being able to grow into something that you could raise more money with, or maybe you never do need to. But it's really a great way to do it. That's really the best, because you're going to be closer to your customers. Your customers are going to give you better input. You're going to be more likely to really have a hit. So congrats on the great start.
thanks. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel very fortunate that like a lot of the customers and the ideal customer profile is actually like a person that has been in I have been in that seat before, and so I feel like I can talk with them more about what their pain points are and what they're experiencing, and then how we might be
Mhm.
able to solve it in a more like in a real way. Whereas if I hadn't actually experienced the pain point, maybe I wouldn't be able to talk to it as truthfully as I can.
No, it really helps to be an insider. It really helps to be building something for really to help people that have done what you've done before. You have an intuition to what you need to do that other people won't have, especially with the kind of the cliche of engineers building stuff for people that they've never done the job for. They've never done that job, but they're engineering something, and they don't know the right questions to ask sometimes.
Yeah.
So it really sounds exciting, and honestly, the beginning of these things when you're just getting the wind under your wings to get off the ground and everything. That's the most exciting time with this. So tell me a little bit about if I were an employer aside my career website, where else should I be? You mentioned onboarding. Where else do you think that we should be really using video, and what kind of message goes when? When do I want to say what?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think kind of with social media in general, I mean, there's so many avenues for it. So I did mention kind of Instagram. I also think LinkedIn video has been really engaging, and I've actually seen people using video in emails as well, or like even sending a
Mhm.
GIF with a link to a video. We've done a lot of that with our customers as well, having kind of video embedded in the email as well. But also, yeah, going back to kind of the LinkedIn side of it, I think that's been probably one of the most resurgent places video is starting to really pop up in.
One thing that I think would be interesting to try, we do a lot of texting, and our very typically the cycle with what we do goes, somebody applies for a job, and within about 60% of candidates that apply on Pivot CX start a conversation with a live person within 4 minutes.
Wow.
And because of that, it really opens up some opportunities because we'll get questions like, "What's the job like?"
Mhm.
Candidate, will apply for a Java developer position or something, they'll get the first text message and then reply to it and say, "Yeah, I'm interested." And then we'll be talking with the candidate, and they'll want to know what's it like. And back to where video really works well, it would be so awesome to be able to share. Well, let me have show you a video from somebody that will be a coworker for you
Yeah.
about what it's like, and be able to share that to them just like on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, all the videos in the Jammer platform are downloadable, and so you could put them in. Yeah, you could actually put them into text messages as well if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah. I hadn't. I have to be honest. I hadn't like immediately thought of that side of it. It's probably like
Well,
my old school mentality. Like I know people text people, but like, and I text my friends all the time, but like I didn't think about like the candidate experience is kind of more moving that direction too.
Well, the thing that's going on right, only 20% of companies have text-driven recruiting processes. A lot of companies have the ability to send a text message, but most of them don't employ it, and they're really missing out because 90% of text messages are read within 3 minutes. And then, if we're talking about recruiting, the secret is that, if you apply for a job and I send you a message that's something like, "Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a recruiter with Pivot CX. I'm ready to start on your application. Do you have time now?" If I send a message like that to you, 60% of the time, you're going to say yes and have a complete conversation with me right now.
Yeah.
And um, you just can't beat it. I mean, 90% read rate plus, 60% of the candidates do a full engagement the same day they applied. There's nothing else out there like it. And so we're really, in our world, we're trying to get that 20% up to 80%. But I do see things really moving towards more and more text based, more chat-based communication because everything seems to just be moving that way. It just seems to be, we do everything that way now. And uh, the thing that's really neat is video fits into that very well.
Definitely. I can definitely see that. Like, yeah.
So, but big picture, looking at what do you see out there where companies get things dreadfully wrong with video? When you go look at like, what are the just, I'm an employer. What are the things I should never do with video?
Yeah. I mean, there are kind of like the basic video tips of like your lighting and your surrounding not being kind of cluttered and not having kind of a lot of outside, noise happening. But then the other thing I think that comes up, and this is something people just kind of got to get comfortable being on video and seeing themselves on video because what will happen is people will be really stiff and they're not stiff personalities like that, but they will be very stiff and they'll look kind of like this, like they're doing a robot, like being a little bit of a robot potentially. And I would look at that video, I'm like, no, like I have talked to you via video before. Like you've been at, like you were animated, like you were not this robot person. Or they're reading off a script, which is also like so tough because video can sometimes be very nerve wracking, especially for people who are not comfortable with it. But then when they're reading it off a script, like it just doesn't come off as authentic. And I think you actually get even more nervous because you know when you're missing a word on that script, but nobody else looking at that video knows that you missed a word, unless it's like a completely, bonkers sentence that you're going to say, like you're fine. So, I think those are the biggest things that people are doing. And then one that I feel like always comes up, and again, it's like just general video practices, but it's when somebody's not centered on a video or like or they're moving too much. Like this is just like
Oh
exhausting,
yeah.
right? So I think that's something that people just need to be aware of because you can have an an animated personality, but like also not be like all over the place.
Well, Jen, I'm suddenly becoming very, very self-conscious of my own behavior here. No, it's every bit of advice you gave, it's right. Here's the hard part with video. I think the hard part for people with video is just that um, they have a higher expectation of perfection than
Mm,
is achievable. And
yeah.
so people get in front of that camera and they think they've got to get everything exactly right. And sure, it would be better if you could do that, but watch the news, watch TV a little bit, watch the professionals do it. And if you watch them closely, you will find they don't get it perfect, do they?
Yeah. Yeah, I just again, like, going back to it, no one's looking at the script and what you're saying. You could say anything, and it's gonna go fine at that point. I think getting back to kind of that level of authenticity, people in normal speak say ums. They don't always have the right words. They maybe are not making perfectly, grammatic sentences working. I just did it there. So and people want to know who the real person is they're going to be working with, not this like scripted or polished person that they're seeing on the screen.
Oh my gosh, this is interesting because
Oh,
we run into the
sorry.
same thing when we're teaching. Like we get a new employer that gets our chat platform, and we're teaching their
Mhm.
recruiters how to chat, and they all want to run every text message through their grammar checker. And the thing that's really bad about that, and it's just like video, those little mistakes are the things that help people go, wait a minute, I'm not talking to a chat bot. I'm talking to a real
Yeah.
person. And with video, it's the same thing. It's I'm talking to a very real person. They make mistakes. They say and ah. They can't hold their eyes in the right place all the time. They're human, right?
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference. So anything else that you see with just general big faux pas with career video?
Ooh, I think one of the other things I've noticed, and this is more, I think, maybe a pet, like not a pet peeve. I don't know. I can get kind of weird about things like this, but sometimes when people are wearing either like bright colors or very like just intricate patterns, it can be very distracting. Oh no, you're fine. Like logos are good. Like logos are fine, right? But like if you're wearing something that is extremely distracting and you're moving a little bit, or if there's something shiny, or you're wearing like a jingly bracelet or something, it's going to distract from what the candidate wants to see, which is or hear,
Mhm.
is you. And so I think that can always be a challenging thing too to have. Um,
So if that does your, when you look at Jammer, do you have some coaching and tips that go along with it?
Yes. So there is some coaching and tips in the platform before the employee would record the video, and then I'm
Mhm.
actually about to release a three blog post series with examples about the
Okay.
do's and don'ts about how to look comfortable on video and look good on video. So I'm excited about that too.
Absolutely. If you get those out, we're gonna publish this one here in a few weeks.
Perfect.
If you get the link to us, we'll go ahead and publish that with the video from
Awesome.
this. That would
Yeah,
be
that'd
fun.
be amazing. Yeah.
Great tips though, all of it. So, just big picture, what do you think video? Yeah, do you think everything will be go video? We all going to be living in FaceTime world pretty soon.
Oh, I mean, I definitely think it's headed that way. The trend for video, it has been going up steadily, over the last few years for sure, but it doesn't seem to be dying down. It actually
No.
seems to be, I would say, doubling down on engagement. The funniest kind of indicator for me was there was a TikTok video of a person sharing their compensation that went extremely viral, and when I first thought about TikTok, I thought about TikTok being more like, oh, it's just this fluffy, like like socially fun, like not professional kind of thing. And then this started to like creep into the professional side of it. So I think it's one of those evolutions that companies are going to have to continue to evolve and adapt with, or they're going to be like dinosaurs, and we know what happened to them. So
Yep, I do. So, the just a couple last questions for you.
yeah.
First thing, is there anything that we missed that you want to share with the audience?
Ooh. Um, I think the other thing that you can think about, kind of especially when you're thinking about recruitment marketing and just employer branding in particular, is not to just let kind of your TA team or your marketing team drive that conversation. There are many people at the company that either have an interest in recruiting or just naturally want to brag about the company, and so getting them into the conversation early about your employer branding proposition or employee value proposition is really important, because then it's not just, coming from like a top down approach. It's actually coming from more of a community. And honestly, you're going to get the most rich and authentic kind of collaboration if you do it that way.
Okay, a couple of quick questions, and I ask all my guests these three, so this will be fun and hopefully a little bit of a surprise. So, what's your favorite business book?
Ooh, I have like 5 on my desk right at this moment. I'm like, "Ooh, which one do I choose?" Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with, it's between Radical Candor and The First 90 Days right now. So every single time there is like a new life event or something new, either with myself or a person at the company or a person I'm coaching, I always tell them to reread it and do one of the exercises in the first 90 days. And every time I read it, there's something new that happens and appears. And then for Radical Candor, I really love like Kim Scott being and what she kind of how she actually portrays, giving feedback to people and feedback being a gift. I think it's something that was very can be very challenging to learn, and so I feel like I kind of reread that very often as well. It's actually on my shelf back here, so I was like going to turn my video for it, but I won't spoil all the time. So.
No, those are both great books. They're both must reads, really. Um, okay, this is more personal. Favorite movie?
Ooh, so I would probably have to say it's still it's called Keeping the Faith. It is Edward Norton, Ben Stiller, and Jenna Elfman. It's a like 90s movie, very 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 old, like and a thing of the past. But I actually really just like the comedy in it and like this the dynamic between three friends.
Okay, and then finally, any favorite words of advice that you have?
Ooh. That's an interesting one. I mean, one of the things I feel like I live by, and it's caused me to change career. Like it caused me to like change jobs more often than not, and like actually push myself more. But how you live your day is how you live your life. And so if I'm not actually being fulfilled during a day, I kind of like take a look and I'm like, well, what am I doing? Like, what did I not do that didn't make me fulfilled? And those days start to add up, especially I have 2 young kids and they grow up very fast and I didn't realize it until I had kids, but every single day is can be very fulfilling and different, but also they just start to blur together after a while too. So
You know,
yeah,
the thing about time, you can't get it back.
no, you really can't.
Can't get it back.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Jen. I really enjoyed talking to you, Jen Paxton, Jamyr, and strongly recommend you go over to Jammer's website and take a look at their product. Thanks so much.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.